Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. Today we're going to be covering a change they made in last snapshot, that being 24w18a. Inside this snapshot, they completely reworked enchantments. Now, the back-end system hasn't really been changed because enchantments still work the same. You enchant an item with books or an enchantment table. It's more the technical part of enchantments that has been changed. And this now allows you to add custom enchantments with data packs. And the good thing is, when you add custom enchantments, they automatically get a book within the creative inventory. You can see right here that I've added an enchantment called Warden Walk. And there are 3 versions of it, so there are all 3 books. Now, it doesn't have a name. That's because I haven't added all the other technical part of the enchantment. I've only added the basic enchantment code. And just to show you, I'm in vanilla snapshot. I have not got any mods or anything like that. This is purely one singular data pack. So the first test enchantment I've added is an enchantment for boots, and it basically works like soul speed but for skulk. So when you're on skulk, you get a speed boost. If I was to drop down onto the grass, you can see I walk at normal speed. As soon as I go onto the skulk, it then gives me a speed boost. This can also then be combined with the enchantment of Swift Sneak. So I've enchanted these leggings with Swift Sneak. If I put these on and crouch, you can see I'm now moving way quicker. If I take the boots off, this is a normal speed. And with the boots on, you can see that I basically skate along the skulk even while crouching. Now, let me quickly show you how you can add custom enchantments, because it's pretty simple, but the only problem is you do need to know a little bit about JSONs. So the first thing you need to do is you need to have a custom enchantments data pack folder. This can be called whatever you want your data pack to be called. So if you want it to be called, for example, if you're adding a new version of Wind Charge, you can call it Wind Charge Data Pack, something like that. You then need to have a data and a pack folder. The image is optional, you don't really need an image. And then inside of this pack folder, you basically need the data pack format, which needs to be 42. This will change in future snapshots, so if you're playing anything above 24w18a, you will need to look at the new data pack version, as this one will currently only work in this snapshot. Anything lower than this and it won't work because the enchantment system wasn't added. And then you just need a description, which you can see I've just adds new enchantments. And then inside of the data folder, you need a Minecraft folder. This can then also be what your data pack is called. I've just done it so it's a vanilla Minecraft. Then you need enchantment. And then you need your custom enchantments, which I currently only have the one. But if I open this up, you can see what it does. There is some certain things you need, but I'm going to grab a easier to look at enchantment first. So let's look at the Vanishing Curse, because this one is pretty simple. So inside of this, you will need a anvil cost, and this is how much it costs to put it on an item by default. So the anvil cost for curse is 8. You then need a description, which is a translation key. But if you don't want a lang folder, you can literally just enter in here. Let's say this enchantment is called Curse. You can just put Curse. The only thing is though, it will only show up this even if you are using another Minecraft language. Then the effects is what the enchantment does, which in this case, because we're looking at Curse of Vanishing, it prevents equipment drop. Then you need a max cost, which is the base, and then per level above first. Then you need a max level. This is how many levels of enchantment. So for example, for protection, this is 4. For sharpness, this is 5. And for wind burst, this is 3. You then need a min cost, which once again has a base and per level above first. And then you need slots, which slots is what equipment slot it mains for. So for example, the Warden Walker, because it goes on boots, the slot for this one is, if I scroll down, you can see the slot is feet. If it was a sword, it would be main hand. If it was anything else, then you'd have to look at a slot. You then want supported items. This is the items that it will be able to be enchant on, and this uses a tag. If I quickly just show you a list of the tags that you could enter in here, this is obviously if you don't make your own, you could make your own tag that has a list of custom items. But these are the default Minecraft tags. And then you need weight, which I've just looked up, and the weight is how common the enchantment appears. So I think this means things like villager trades, enchantment tables, and things like that. And that is basically all you need for the enchantment. But by default, this wouldn't do anything. All this would do is prevent equipment drop. You would need to basically customize this effect part. Now, if we come back to here, let's look at some of the Minecraft enchantments to see what we can do. Now, I haven't had enough time to look into exactly what this system can do, But by going off of all the vanilla Minecraft enchantments, there is definitely a lot it can do. So let's, for example, look at protection. Protection right here is a damage protection. But one thing we could do with this is if I copy this protection, let's just do something real quick. I want to keep this video simple and easy, so I'm not going to do anything advanced. If you want to know anything too advanced, then I'd recommend looking at the Minecraft enchantments and doing the ones that are a little bit more advanced, like Swift Sneak and Thorns, that have a lot more in the effects tab. You can also look at a patch notes page of 24w18a because they do explain a lot in there of the sort of things you can do. But let's say we want to increase the protection level. So let's get protection, let's get projectile protection, blast protection, and then fire protection. And let's just drag all of them in here. Let's delete the curse and the warden walk. And I want to just rename these because we don't want them to be the same as the Minecraft enchantment because that might override. So we're going to call these advanced and then the protection name. I want to override the Minecraft one. So let's see if this does override it. I'm not too sure if it will or not. Because what I want to do is I want to increase the max level. Let's increase it to 8 on that one. I'm creating a new world. It has the wolf image there. That's just because that's the image I threw into the file. And it adds new enchantments. So let's just save that. It makes sure it validates, and it does. And let's now create the world to see what happens. So now what we want to do is see if the Minecraft protection, if I type in protection, does that search by enchantment? And it does. Okay, so here we go. You have protection here that goes above the default of 4. You have protection 5, 6, 7, and 8, which is exactly what we wanted. But the question here, is there double of protection? Projectile protection, protection 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so it does override the default Minecraft protection, which that's kind of cool. So you can use this system to increase the default values of the game. So by default, just by using this data pack, there is now up to protection 8. So we have blast protection 1 to 4 right there. And we should have blast protection 1 to 4 again. But that's just because I didn't rename the lang folder. So to fix that issue, all you need to do is go into the enchantment. And the reason it was showing up as double blast protection is because I didn't rename this. And it's basically just getting the translation string for blast protection. So I'll need to rename this to something else. For you to have real translations, you do need a resource pack, as that is done in the assets, not the data. So we're just going to call this advanced blast protection. And this is the string that will now show, rather than just normal blast protection. This will now show in the advancement name, which is good. But I really do like this system. It makes adding enchantments way easier. You don't need to download mods to do this now. And it does also mean that you can now override enchantments, as we saw with the protection. You could increase, for example, looting from looting 3 as the max to maybe looting 6. One thing I do want to do though, breach is an enchantment. I want to add this enchantment and I want to change it to something else. I want to change this, so let's just rename it. I want to rename this to Sword Breach. This will be a breach that you can put on a sword. Now, breach changes the armor effectiveness and it changes it by 15%. Because this is going on a sword and we don't want it to be too overpowered, so we're going to make it to the base of minus 0.5. And then we're also going to do above the first level, it's going to be 1. So above the first level, it'll be 10, but the first level will be 0.5. And then everything else is fine. The only other thing we need to change is what can be enchantable. And this is going to be sword, just because we want the swords to be enchantable rather than the mace. Now, alongside this, let's remove these ones just because we've done showcasing them. I'm going to duplicate this, so let's copy that and let's paste it. And we're going to name this one Axe Breach, because we also then want this to go on axes as well, as they are another source of PvP. But the thing is, I want to do this one so it's minus 1.0. So having it on an axe is going to be way more useful. Now this is going to be really overpowered, so I would not recommend doing this inside of an actual enchantment. I'm just doing it as a test. And we're going to put axe there, although I do want to double check. Is it called axe or is it called axes? Tags, items, enchantable, and it is called... Okay, axe don't have a tag. So, is there anything? Sharp weapons is swords and hashtag axes. Okay, so we can use the hashtag axes. So if I look at this, it is just hashtag axes. I have to just remove the enchantable, and that should then go on all axes. So I now have a command here to summon a zombie with full netherite armor. I have also given it glowing, just so that I can see it. So how many hits does it take to kill this zombie? That is what we want to work out first. It takes 13 hits with an unenchanted netherite sword and no crit hits. Now let's enchant this with the new enchantment. We want this to be sword breach, and we want level 3. I think 3 was the max. No, 4 was the max. So there we go. Let's do 4. So this now has sword breach 4. And I have also given it a name, as you can see, so it no longer shows enchantment.minecraft.swordbreach. It now actually has a real name. So it took 13. Let's now see how many it takes with sword breach. It takes 5 hits with sword breach 4. Now let's try the axe. So with an axe it takes 11 hits, and that's an unenchanted axe. Now let's try with the enchantment. So we are going to enchant this one with, instead of sword breach, I just want to rename this to axe breach. And there we go. So now let's see how much this takes. So let's summon it. It took 11. It's 1. And it takes 2 hits with this. But that is once again because I set the value to 1.0 rather than this one, which is 0.5. And the breach is 0.15. So this new system for enchantments is really cool, and I'm really loving messing around with it. But that is where I'm going to end this video. This was just a video to showcase how to add them. If you are a little bit new or was getting confused, then now it's something you can mess around with. But once again, I didn't go into too much detail and depth of how to make really big custom enchantments, just because I need to learn it a little bit more as well. But I've showed you the basics of how to add basic enchantments like the Minecraft ones, but changing a few values. But anyway, if you enjoyed, do like and subscribe, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know what you guys thought of this video in the comments, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!